All right, we should be good, guys. Yeah, so today we're going to cover my weekly recap. Can we talk about finding daily? But yeah, that's what you're basically gonna see. I'm gonna be walking over each day. So moving to um, so my first trade of the week was on gold, and we're gonna be covering every single day on all assets. So you're kind of gonna see like why I choose um, each asset and whatnot each day. So I longed gold here. So what you're gonna ask yourself always is what the previous day did, what the previous week did, what the previous sessions did, right? It's just those if-then statements. If the previous, whatever, if it's, weekly, whatever, daily. If it reversed, then what can we expect the next to do? To expand or have some new phase of price, whether that's retracement or reversal or consolidation. If it did nothing, then we want that specific time period that we're trading, whether it's the day or the weekly candle or the session, we want it to go and manipulate. And yeah, it's really those two things, or it's just a manipulation that already occurred and we're trading continuation. So it's as simple as that, right? So when I look at this day here, what do I notice about Friday's candle? Let me minimize this stuff real quick. So I see that we have swept out the previous day's low. You're in like EQ of this range, right? So I can already anticipate potentially a Monday continuation to these fair swings potentially. When I go to silver as well, we just around this low. So it makes a lot of sense to have some sort of bullish bias back in this range at least, right? For a Monday. Because even if it's going to continue lower, these weeks form, right? They would open high first regardless. So you see how there's only a bullish bias to be framed here. Whether we actually reverse and go higher like this, or if we go lower, the weekly candle typically opens high first. Right? So either way, early week, I'm bullish right here, right? So with that being said, what do we want to see this day print like? On a bullish day, we want it to see it open low first, ideally, right? So when I drop lower, you see it gapped up quite significantly here. See how price gapped lower because of the war events or whatnot. It gapped lower and immediately traded lower. So here's the daily open with a pretty large opposing run, right? So when I see this, I kind of adjust my targets. This does not mean I cannot be bullish. It just means I have to adjust my targets. I just cannot expect an expansion day. That's as simple as that, right? So when I look here, bro, when I go to, sorry if you hear my dogs, so annoying. Whoops. So now I go over here. We see an SMT between this candle's low. So we have the daily opening low, a cracking correlation forming low of day, and we're seeing that price is expanding away. And in the distribution away from this low, so this is an Asia low of the day, we have your second stage distribution, right? So as you can see, it's with this candle's low right here. So as you see, there's your two-stage cracking correlation. Um, and yeah, so that's what I took here. So if I drop lower, this low of this candle, what is it being formed by? An SMT. So 6 a.m. is expanding away. So New York is expanding away from Asia lows, and the low is formed from SMT. So when I drop lower, I'm going to ask myself, does this candle support expansion? So let's draw out 6 a.m. open. Sorry, okay, there it is. So does 6 a.m. support expansion? The answer is yes, right? Go back to that 4-hour candle. Small wick, right? Oh, my mouse is tripping. Sorry. So as you see, small wick supporting expansion back to the daily open, right? The low is formed from a 30-minute fractal model, so just GXT, right? So when I drop lower, really all I need to see is this close above right? Because we don't have a reversal inside of candle 2 here. So when candle 3 opens right here at 9 o'clock, as soon as we close over that, that's your confirmation, because now the 9 o'clock low, which is basically, it's just a line right here. This is the 9 o'clock open, which is the new hourly candle open, is created from, it's protected by a CST essentially, right? So you can just take this straight off the rip right here, but I missed this entry. This is the ideal entry. And I personally just TP'd here at this high. Right, but I did not get this fill like I said, so I got this fill on this fair value gap around like the 3-minute time frame. So you guys see this fair value gap? So we have that V-shaped signature, expansion, mouth expansion, and that's what you want to see, right? So you can see both assets providing the same thing there. So you see this tag here, that was my entry basically, right? And I put my stop loss basically at this, it's not a low, but it's a fair value gap low. This is where you anticipate this fair value to stay open, right? Because we don't want to see deep retracements and expansion, right? So that's just the fractal nature and price. It just phases the price. This is where breakaway gaps form. This is where price shouldn't return to an area, right? We don't want to see price return here. So this is my trade for Monday on gold. Does anyone have any questions? Bro. Kiko. Can't hear? Bro, no fucking way. I can hear? There is sound? Kiko, I'm on stream right now.
You sound on your stream.
People say they can hear.
Some guy just texted and like he can't hear.
Yeah, I see that some people say there's no sound, but now there is apparently. Weird.
Alright, then we're good. Maybe it's that guy's fault. Tell him.
Alright, I love you, bye. Alright, see you later.
See ya.
Wait, so it cut out for everyone? Yeah, Discord, bro. A lot could not hear it. So did you guys miss that whole thing? Do you guys want me to go over that real quick? Again? Alright, bet. We'll go over it real quick. Alright, so why am I bullish to stay? Well, looking back at the previous day closure, hold on. Let me delete all this stuff off the daily. Alright, look at the previous day's close. It's a C2. We're also like just in the middle of a range, right? So just expecting some sort of new phase of price, whether that's a retracement or reversal, doesn't matter. Because when I go to silver, we also just expanded into a low as well. So we can expect some sort of move higher, whether we reverse from this low, right? Or just continue lower. If we continue lower like this, what do we expect the weekly candles to do? To open high first. That's why I have a bullish bias. Either way, early on the week, you should be bullish, right? So with that narrative, if I want to see a bullish day, I want to see the daily open low first. So here's the daily open low first. The low today is formed from SMT. So this is one of the best profiles you can have, is when you're bullish, the day opens low first, formed from SMT, and then you're just trading the continuation away from it, right? So here you have a 2-stage SMT, strength switch. So the low of this 6 AM candle is formed from a SMT, which is always good to see. And the low of that 4-hour candle is formed from the fractal model, right? So just GXT. So I'm just trading the expansion candles away from that. You can see the reversal signature, right? Expansion, mouth expansion. This is a reversal day. Not a reversal day, but it's a day with a large opposing run. So what does that tell you? That you have to adjust your targets, right? Your max target could be up here, right? Potentially. Well, I'll show you why I didn't TP there. But there was no CSD within candle 2, so candle 3 has to create the CSD, right? So here's your CSD. I'm just using the 3-minute or the 5-minute because it's a lot cleaner. It's just one, basically just 2 opposing candles, very clean. And then we get that CSD. So ideally, you guys enter here, ideally. This is where you ideally enter, but I missed this. So I just wait for some new level to be printed, right? So here's a fair value gap that gets printed on the 3-minute, right? And I'm expecting this to support price higher, right? So I just have to put my stop loss in a place where I don't expect price to return. And as long as I can get 2R, that's really all that matters, right? So here, you have a fair value gap. And why am I putting my stop loss here? Because I'm not expecting price to return back to this fair value gap. I'm expecting this to be a breakaway gap, as it should be, right? We don't want to see deep retracements, especially just after manipulating. My entry is still low in the range. If you mark out your TP from your reversal point, ideally you always want to be entering in the lower half here, right? If your stop loss is positioned somewhere below here, you're typically good, right? And if I, split this in half, if I split this in half, that's where my TP is, right? Price shouldn't be retracing deep within the lower half of this range. Maybe when it gets up here, yeah, you can see some retracement, but not down here. So that's why I can enter here with no problem, with no worry, really. So that's my entry, guys, here because I missed this one. So it's just like, think of it as like a first stage distribution. Here's your smart money reversal down here. Here's your low risk buy, first stage distribution, and then we just expand, right? Because we're expecting that expansion. So that was my trade this day. And I just TP'd here, by the way, or because it's that reversal day. And if I go to this asset over here, this was just about to hit this relevant high. So again, I'm not expecting price to really expand beyond this point because I know that this asset is not going to expand beyond this point. So it just makes sense that silver would cap off its daily range around here. That's what I'm thinking here. And that's what I traded on Monday for gold. Does that make sense? That was a quick recap, whatever. What the? All right, cool. Let's move on. So that was gold, right? Very good trade. Very good narrative. I would frame this as a pretty high probability, to be honest. Yeah. So let's move on to oil, because I also took. No, did I take oil? No, I did not take oil. So let's go why I didn't take oil, because that's pretty important. So if I look around like 8 o'clock when I actually come to the charts, so basically right here or something, look at the daily range already. It's huge, right? This daily range is already huge. Now, it wasn't way down here, but it was like around here or something. Yeah, it was around here. This daily range is already pretty extended. So when I see that, typically I'm not going to trade in that same direction, because the daily range is pretty much capped off in my eyes. But you're going to see that actually it expands a lot further. But it was kind of like ugly, right? And you can kind of anticipate that, where one of these assets are taking out these lows. Right, they are failing to manipulate it, so you can anticipate a potential expansion below here or beyond this point. But there were just like there's just not like targets that are like super obvious to me. You know what I'm saying? So I just didn't take this, and there's no SMTs within here really to take either. So not really my cup of tea to trade this. So I did not trade oil. I thought indices were a lot more manageable here. So if you go to YM here, again, we're going to ask ourselves what the previous week did, what the previous day did, what the previous sessions did. So what did the previous day do, which is the previous week, basically? We saw that Friday traded into this low, creating an SMT. So here's that SMT here, right? And you're seeing a form of strength switching. This asset is the one that's creating a lower low, but it's a bullish candle. Well, this asset is creating a higher low, but it's creating a bearish candle. So that's a form of strength switching, if you guys did not know. So if the previous day reversed, then what should Monday do? It should expand, right? And that expansion, that gap lower, actually creates a two-stage SMT strength switch, right? We already know the strength switch already basically happened with the previous day, but now you see it here, where NQ and ES are taking out that previous day's low. Right? So this happened really early on in the day, right? Because it gap lower. So this can happen a lot of times where Asia's low of day, where Asia will like reverse off the previous candle's low, where that's like previous high or previous day's high, and just expands immediately off the open, or within continuation. A lot of times Asia can be high and low today. So coming into the session before the driver, so there's no news this day. So typically I want to rely on the drivers, right? What do I see? I see that all assets, this is very important, guys. Every single asset is trading away from this SMT, right? So you see how all assets are doing so? This is very good to see. So whenever you have an Asia low of the day, or maybe a Monday low of the day, this is fractal. If you want to see continuation later on in that candle's lifespan, there's always going to be an invalidation point to continue away from. So whether that is this fair value gap, right, that was created from the expansion away from the opening price, like a fair value gap to continue away from, or maybe some relevant low, within that candle to continue away from, which is what we get here. So if I place 930, what do you call it? NQ takes out this relevant low in the market, right? So what can we expect price to reverse from here to get to here, essentially? That's what I'm anticipating, especially for YM, just because it's stronger. So as you see, it put in a higher high. And this is a form of strength switching because not only down here, but also just if you look left, the previous day took out this high. But now you're seeing the next day put in a lower low. So why is that? It's so that YM can catch up to break this SMT they're seeing here, right? So this is already a form of strength switching, right? But even fractally, you don't need a second stage SMT when you see this. So look at NQ when it takes out this low. So you do not need strength switch when the asset sweeps is showing a reversal or a sign of reversal. Remember I told you guys that in order for markets to reverse, ideally you need all assets to actually reverse. So typically you want to focus on the asset that sweeps. Doesn't mean you trade it. You just want to see a reversal signature here, right? So that's what you see here. Like I don't need to see strength switch because that's what strength switching is for. It's so the asset that sweeps actually reverses. But if it just reverses, that's perfect, right? So when I saw this pairing a manipulation with the driver, this is absolutely textbook, right? The daily candle is already an expansion candle. We have open objectives. As you see, we have a bunch of open objectives here. Previous is high. And this was my target. So going to the 4-hour candle here, it's quite a large wick, but I've already told you guys how to fade these candles. It's always going to be the same thing. This can be mechanical, by the way. So it has to manipulate and has to have SMT with the driver, right? Because if it's with the driver, price has enough volatility to expand within this wick, right? And you trading away from this wick or away from manipulation and protected level is fine, right? And ideally, you want to be involved, which I don't think I am here. Ideally, you want to be involved, like, where's the opening price of that candle? It is right here. So ideally, when you trade a reversal candle, this is how you want it to look, ideally. So if I mark out the opening price, which is right here, mark out the opening price to the actual reversal low. Ideally, you get involved in the lower half, right, or below the opening price, which I'm not doing. But again, everything was reversing and everything looked very clear. So that's just a tip, but I did not do that here because it looks so clean, where all the markets were reversing. And this is my entry. So if I go to the hourly chart, I'm not counting this as a candle 4 really. I'm actually counting this as a candle 2 reversal, right? Because you have to view this 30-minute candle as a manipulation candle, because on this asset over here, that's exactly what it is, essentially. It's a reversal into expansion candle. Like I said, if you have that driver on your side, it's going to expand. You guys see me trade drivers all the time because of this. They're extremely just nice to frame your trades around, right, and use that volatility. So that's what I'm using here. 930 reversal. I have the continuation signature. Really, you could have entered here on this opposing candle. You probably should have done that. But you're going to see what happens to me, man. I get done dirty. So to me, this is so one-sided that when I have like a one-sided bias, I do not take partials typically. I will leave the runner to the whole high. And this bit me in the ass, right? So you're going to see that I go break even at this point, because why the hell would I expect a retracement this deep in the range? If it comes this deep, then I know I'm probably cooked. I know I'm probably going to get stopped out, because it shouldn't be doing that before we hit this high. But that's exactly what happens, which is not something I care to anticipate. That's like, how can I anticipate that? It makes no sense. So when you see price do this, you pretty much know that it's likely just a retracement, but that's unfortunate that it retraces, because you never want to see that, right? So I get stopped out here, and I get back literally a 3R, right, and make no money on that. I didn't even partial or trail. So womp womp there. But when you see this, by the way, when you see price leave these equal highs like this, I want to see continuation higher. Whether that's from this, it can only happen two areas, by the way. It can only happen from this opposing candle or a manipulation of like these lows. Again, because if we're not going to visit the current day low, which is very unlikely because of the opposing run size, when it retraces back in the range, we're going to look for areas to kind of cap off this retracement to continue higher. So that's what you're going to see here. It just ends up sweeping all the relevant lows within the above the daily current day's low. You're going to see this happen a lot, by the way. You kind of see it happen here. Here's the current day's low. Here's the high, the current, kind of like the relevant low above that opening price, which is created in Asia over here. And we reverse off of that. So it's the same logic, not only here, but also here. So yeah, it ends up retracing or manipulating here, and then it's just a random PM expansion. But yeah, I took a break even there, guys. But I also did take a win on NQ. So why did I take a win on NQ? Let's go look at it. All right, so we know that this asset was the lagging asset, right? Here's at SMT. Here's 930. And like I said, whenever you have I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys before. I think I have before, but not in this stream specifically. But whenever you have an SMT like this, and all assets are reversing, like every single one of them, all markets are correlated, they're all expanding. Typically, all assets will hit these same objectives, right? So you can fractalize this. We're seeing that happen over here, so I'm anticipating this day to also reach in the previous high, more than likely. And I'm also anticipating this low, or this reversal, to also trade into this high as well, because all assets are reversing, right? So when you see this, when all assets are reversing like this, and then maybe the leading asset, the strongest asset, trades at the high first, I want to trade this lagging asset. If I didn't, trade the strongest one, I want to trade the lagging asset to catch up this high. This is where strength switching comes in. So I actually traded the 15-minute model here, just because if I go to like the lower time frame, price is gonna be very quick, right? And the CSD is way up here, right? So obviously, if I take this CSD, like I can't get good RR, right, or nothing like that. So I drop lower though. You see that reversal signature, expansion, mouth expansion. If I pull up this 941 low, you see that on the weakest asset, it does not take this low. But let's go on YM, for example, the strongest asset, 941. You're seeing that this asset already took out these highs to the left, and 941 is right here. So you're putting a divergence. While this asset is retracing, NQ is expanding. Why is that? To catch up, right? We can also use some of AM's logic of a failure to manipulate. So if this is my overall drawn liquidity, which is here, on my way to the drawn liquidity, we're going to run into roadblocks, like relevant highs. Like I don't know if I would view this as a relevant high necessarily, but it's definitely a pretty significant high. It's a like 30-minute swing point, or 15-minute, whatever you call it. It's definitely a swing point, right? Pretty significant swing point. So if you fail to manipulate this, that's what you want to see, right? To get to this high. So when I see that signature of price trading into the high, and then closing through the opposing candle, that is a failure to manipulate this high. This gives me confidence that we will trade through this on the weakest asset, especially with this divergence here, and then trade towards this high over here, right? So this is my entry. This is the fractal model, really. And yeah, 2.6R. I just took it off here. It ended up going much further, but I was pretty content with this. And yeah, that was my trade here. Anyone have any questions for Monday's trading? Dude, we're 30 minutes in. I'm only on Monday. That's crazy. Why not pick NQ over YM? Well, because it's weaker. Create a lower low. It's literally as simple as that. Yeah. Freg, what's up, dude? You have any questions on Monday? All right, let's go to Tuesday. 30 minutes to complete one day is insane, but all right. So Tuesday, we are rolling over a lot of our biases, especially indices. So let me see what I traded. So I took, okay, bet. Oh yeah, this is a bit of a weird day for sure. This is a bit advanced this day. So like I said, if you go to like all assets here, they all have something to draw them to, like RTY, YM, this high, for example. Sorry. Oh my god, dude. ES, NQ. They all have these relevant highs to draw into, right? And we just rip right at the daily open. Rip higher. So here's the daily open. And again, you can expect H to be low of day within daily continuation. That's what we do here. We trade into this high here. And notice what we do. We fail to manipulate it. This is not a reversal signature here, guys. This is not a reversal signature. This is consolidation. So I am looking for YM to actually catch up and break this SMT that you're seeing here. Because remember, if the leading assets, if they trade into a high and fail to manipulate it, and then what are we also seeing? That all assets are reversing at this low. So I'm already anticipating this SMT to be like, to not hold, right? So when I see the failure to reverse, like that's a really good signature, right? So coming into 9:30 here, I remember a lot of you guys took this. There was two-stage SMT, right, around here. It's just a little bit in the middle of nowhere, but here's the real reason. So if I go prior to 9:30, we have some sort of two-stage SMT, but you're going to see that this is not a reversal signature. So even if you have a two-stage SMT or something like that, or maybe a candle closure, candle two, and you don't see a reversal signature, well, what is that likely to be? A retracement or just like consolidation, right? So if I go to like, if I play price around 9:30, you can see that YM showed some strength around the open, but if the other assets really don't show strength and they're just leaving all these lows, you see this? This is not a reversal signature, guys. So typically, this is a kind of a lesson on maybe in the future around about decoupled assets. Basically, when one asset's showing strength, the other one's just bullshitting. They're really struggling. The trigger for alignment or price to become correlated again is always going to be a manipulation. So you're going to see that while these other assets were struggling, you saw that YM actually took out this high, creating an SMT here, and this allows all markets to expand lower to go and like manipulate whatever low it wanted to do or was really struggling to go higher, right? And that will allow these other assets to expand lower. And you're going to see strength switch here as well. So you can kind of see it right here. This candle is bearish. It's already starting to reverse, while in Q, this candle is still bullish. So again, that's a form of strength switching. And you're going to see that these assets expand. But what really caught my eye here was RTY. So check this out. So what do we want to see within continuation? This is where I really rely on order blocks and fair value gaps specifically, right? On the hourly and 4-hour to support expansion for the higher time frame, like daily candles, right? These should be what supports the low of the days, the low of pullbacks and whatnot, right? So if you look at the low of the day here, it's the same thing, right? If Asia is the low of the day and we expand away from Asia, right, and we create a key level above the opening price, this key level above the opening price, right? If we want to continue and not take out Asia's lows, this has to hold, right? So this is where we have an SMT with the gap. So within continuation, away from a true reversal, like this true reversal at the lows, when you see a gap being created and there's still draws open, these gaps are very important. Like these are the most higher probable gaps. It's after manipulation, because after manipulation we expect expansion. In expansion we respect gaps. So one thing to look for is this is called SMT fill. Basically, it's SMT with you don't have to call it that. It's just SMT with a gap, right? Where one asset trades with a gap, one doesn't. You see that YM is not trading into this gap, so it's creating a divergence via gap, and you see that RTY. There's a strength switch here. Whether that's visible on the lower time frame or this candle close, I kind of forget. Let me play price real quick here. I'm not sure if it's a two-stage SMT or not. Kind of forgot, but we'll see here. Yeah, it is a two-stage SMT. So here's your first Kraken correlation right here. Here's your second one. This is absolutely gorgeous. Right, there's your strength switch, right? We want to see this asset. Look at the low resistance liquidity. This is like, when I tell you this is so clean, guys, like between these two markets here. And I believe my entry was on the 15-minute. Why is it on the 15-minute? it's the same reason. Hold on, let's go to YM here. So a lot of people are like, why is he using not the 30-minute hourly? Because it makes no sense. And it's the same thing. It's literally the same thing, and I'll show you why. So if I want to trade this reversal into expansion candle, this 10 a.m. reversal into expansion candle, what truly matters is that low is like protected level, right? That reversal candle, it's being kind of like confirmed by an SMT or trading into a key level. That's what truly matters. Is I'm trading the reversal of this candle, right? Or I'm confirming the low of this candle with like 2-stage SMT. And the reason why I'm not waiting for like the 5-minute CST or the 3-minute CST, because it's all the way up here, man. Look how far that is, right? I want to target these equal highs. So if I wait for this, I mean, I'm just missing that opportunity, right? If I go to 3-minute, it's the same shit. It's just a big series of opposing candles. So I have to use the 50-minute here. And it's protected by a 2-stage SMT. This is like a continuous signature in general, right? As you see, it's just consolidative. Even on the weakest asset, guys, this is the weakest asset, creating the lower low. It's showing a continuation signature as well, right? So it's just like almost like seek and destroy. If I go to like ES, this is consolidation, right? Which is, again, a continuous signature. So we also had 10 a.m. news this day. So again, what are we pairing a driver with? Or yeah, a driver with. We're pairing with manipulation, right? You can even see what created this retracement lower back in this range was a driver as well. Strength switch. So you're seeing 2-stage SMT on both sides. So I'm telling you, you need to start acquiring this shit, and it will change your trading, but also your life. Like I'm not even joking. So like you have this first CSD, right? And what do we require? Simply second CSD. This is way too small for me to put my stop loss here. I put my stop loss at this body, and I simply targeted this high. It went much further, but again, I don't care about that. I'm here to take my low-hanging fruit for 3.4. I'm more than happy with that, especially given this day. It's not the cleanest profile necessarily, but this move in general, this small move, which is probably like 1 hourly candle or something, 2 hourly candles, that's typically like my trades. It's like a couple of hourly candles, a very small move. You can trade stuff like this every single day. Every single day. I'm not joking. Where you confirm it, like a small move, the low of this candle, I'm trading 1 4-hour candle. The low is created from 2-stage SMT with context, right, of the other assets failing to manipulate this high, right? So yeah, anyone have a question on that day in particular? I forgot what else I took this day. That was it. That was it. So let's go see why I didn't take any trades on the other assets. I think I remember there was an opportunity in gold. Yeah. So you're seeing that's like these assets over here. So why was it bearish, guys? What phase of price do we get? Expansion into a low. Consolidation. Monday consolidation. So this is again a continuation signature. This is not a reversal signature. When you trade into a low and it just consolidates like this small range, it needs to expand away for it to be a reversal signature. So what's the target now? These lows, right? For the next day. So coming into the next day, that's what your predetermined bias would be, right? And you also have SMT. Wait. Yeah, and you also have SMT with the previous high here as well. So it's just like super one-sided, honestly bearish to get to these lows. But you're going to see it happen overnight, really. So that was pretty uninteresting. So you're seeing that price left all these lows. And it's like, why would we even be anticipating silver to also expand into this low? It's pretty simple. I've said it a gazillion times. What do we see here? If you look at the SMT, price clearly on the other asset failed to manipulate this low. So I don't give a shit about this SMT that you're seeing. Wherever it's at, it's like, it's actually right here. It failed to manipulate an Asia session. Like, I don't give a frick about this SMT, bro. It's going to fail, right? So really, you could trade this asset or this one. Why can you trade this one around 7 a.m.? I'm going to show you. And also, we're leaving these equal lows as well. So even on the stronger asset, like what are we doing? If this is going to be a reversal, like you don't want to see this super deep retracement. That's not a reversal signature. So this is like super one-sided bearish, but Unfortunately, I'm just not on the charts at 7 a.m. That's like 6 a.m. for me. I believe, yeah, it's like 6 a.m. for me. So if you draw this line, or this low, you have an open objective. Like, yeah, the daily range is quite extended for sure, but as long as you have an open objective and you can hit a key level to again continue away from, and this is like confirmed by SMT, then you're pretty much good. And that's what you're gonna see here. You have this opposing candle. If I go to silver here, so you always want to see price support this, find support here, or resistance, sorry. So if you look at this swing point high, you have SMT right here with that swing point high. And you also have two-stage SMT. Why? Right here. So remember I told you guys two-stage SMT or strength switching can happen between candles. So like candle 1, candle 2 has an SMT like this. So candle 1, candle 2 divergence, and then candle 2 and candle 3 divergence. So you can see it like this. So that's exactly what we see right here, right? So what would you trade? You would trade this candle 3 right here, this one, and candle 4, lower, right? So that's a very good opportunity there. I'm just not awake at that time. So I just wanted to show that, because why not? Now oil, let's go look. Why the hell did I avoid this? Probably the same thing. Probably just expanded lower overnight. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. So look here. Look at this huge range. This weekly range is absolutely massive, right? And it's like we're in a gap, so it's like it's not gonna go any. It's not gonna go all the way down here. It's just not gonna happen. There's just no fucking way. And even if it did, like I'm not anticipating that to happen. Where would I anticipate this week to probably cap off its range, or maybe even retrace back into the range? Like somewhere in this gap. That's what I want to see. I want to see price use this gap somewhere in this level, maybe an SMT at the previous low or something, to maybe trade back in this range, because it's not going to expand forever, right? So this day I kind of let go, because we don't have that. We don't have SMT at the previous low or anything like that. So I just kind of let it go. Yeah, there's literally nothing this day, honestly, to really trade, right? So yeah, kind of let that day go. Really uninteresting. So kind of hopping into Wednesday. This was my best trading day of the week, I believe. Where was it? Hold on. Was that Thursday? Thursday. Oh, that was definitely Thursday. This is a great day though too. So let's start with these assets. So given the closure here, because I skipped Tuesday, I skipped Monday as well, because same thing, they're just huge expansion. I typically do not want to trade in the same direction of a huge expansion like this. Okay, I'd rather trade back into the range. So what do I need to validate this fair value gap, or the weekly fair value gap? Not for reversal, but for at least retracement back in the weekly range, is some form of SMT. And that's what we have here. So if I play price, so with that logic, like I said, I want to trade back in the range. If I go to RTY, what do we see? Previous day's low, SMT here. And even within this candle, this previous daily candle, you're going to see two-stage SMT within here as well. If I go to HO here and pull up CL, and this day is a bit advanced. If you miss this day, no worries. It's fairly advanced, and I would say at least, because of the profile and whatnot. So if you look here, here's your first stage SMT. It's right here. Now remember when I told you guys when SMT breaks, this is what can also form a two-stage SMT. So see the asset that originally ran this low, right? It held this SMT while the other one broke the SMT, which creates another SMT, right? Where the asset that the low that this asset swept is now being not taken over here, but taken over here. So this is your two-stage SMT. And I've already told you guys when SMT breaks, this is a potential reversal signature. So that's what you're seeing over here. So this would happen the previous day, right? So we already can anticipate potential reversal this next day. Now when I look left in the previous range, there's not much here, man. You can say this opposing candle, but that's not really what I care about. It's really this SMT they're seeing with the previous low. And this profile here is not the best either. This is why I say it's a bit harder to navigate, because I don't want to really see this. You see how the daily open is like right here? What do we see price do? It opens high first. I don't want to see that if I'm bullish. It opens high first, takes out this high, then expands back in the range. I typically don't want to see that, but this expansion, right, had this SMT. And when you see spaced out SMT like this, look how far this asset is away from this low. This is when you typically can anticipate this SMT holding, right? So I know that this day is not going to support like some huge expansion range, because given the profile, it's like kind of like seek and destroy. So really all I have to anticipate is this move from here to here. Again, 2 hourly expansion candles. That's it, right? And I go to CL here. Notice how Asia over here got traded into on HO. But I go to CL, it did not. Right? So you have a divergence here. But now you're seeing that this asset is doing what? It's putting in a higher high, or higher low, sorry. So what is that telling you? That this asset's trying to catch up, right? So that's a strength switch. That's another form of strength switching, right? So I'm going to trade this asset to get to this high here. And I'm going to tell you why you have to TP here. One of the reasons is, like I said, seek and destroy profile. But there's also another reason. And it's because of RB. But that's what we have here, guys. It's a strength switch here. So if I go to the hourly chart here, this 10 a.m. candle is sweeping out this candle's low on RB and CL. Now I want you to pay attention to the lower time frame here, because it's very important. So all we care about is this asset that's sweeping out. We want to see it have some sort of reversal signature. You see this expansion away? This will allow for the other assets to expand, right? And then we're just analyzing if this asset's going to truly expand with these other assets, because if it does, this is when we can anticipate potentially a larger expansion through this high. But if these assets are expanding while this one is consolidating, this is when this S&P is going to hold, most likely, right? But all we need to see is this asset over here show some sign of reversal, right? So that's what we see. You're actually going to see there is strength switching here, because look at this expansion size on the weaker asset compared to like this middle asset here. You see it's right here. It's not as big, right, as you see, which is actually we form two-stage SMT here with this gap. So again, we have an SMT and we form a gap. This is fractal. I told you guys this with that indices example. We created SMT with that previous low, that two-stage SMT on the daily. We expanded away. All assets expanded away, creating a gap. So it's fractal, right? This is an hourly SMT here. And on a lower time frame, we get a gap. This is what you want to see. We want to see price support these areas. And I want to see SMTs with these areas too. So we actually have a two-stage SMT. Here's your first stage SMT. Here's your second stage SMT with this gap, right? And yeah, so when I play price here, the low of 10 a.m., like I said, is formed from SMT. And I'm just trading a candle 2 essentially, I think at least. Is there a 30-minute? You could say this is an ideal swing formation, I suppose. This is a opposing candle here. So basically candle 3 creates the opposing candle. You could trade candle 4. It doesn't really matter like what you say it is. All that matters is I'm trading an expansion candle on the 4-hour and on the hourly chart. The low is, printed from reversal. That's really all that matters. So now this SMT gets confirmed when we close above this opposing candle. That is my entry. I believe I got a retest, I believe. So I think my TP was when HO hit this high or something. It was like around 3R, I know that. It was like a little bit past this high. It was like around here I TP'd. But that's what I TP'd. But you're going to see that you have to TP around this area, because look at HO. It's really struggling, right? Look at the space between the SMTs. Remember I told you that when you have space at SMT, typically they're going to hold. Just like the space between this low and this low. Look how spaced out that is. Typically it's going to hold, right? And when you get a strength switch here, it's over, right? We're going to go here, right? So you actually get a two-stage SMT to actually return back in the range. And it actually makes sense to do that. Why? Given the profile, it's like seek and destroy. So it's just reversing off of the external ranges, right? given that profile. It doesn't really support a bullish expansion day regardless. So when you have this SMT, makes sense to return back in this range. I'll show you the two-stage SMT. Here's your first stage SMT. Now when I drop lower, this is just in PM session. It's a low prob. I think it's still like lower probability, just because given the profile. But just to show you like proof of concept, like two-stage SMTs, they're everywhere. So if I look at this, I think it's, hold on, let me find it. Yeah. So the high right here, 1315. 1315 is right here, creating a lower high, right? So there's your strength switch two-stage SMT. Something I talk to you guys about all the time. You're seeing it happen every day. And this is what forms the reversal here. So you're seeing a two-stage SMT down here and up here, right? So I'm telling you guys, this is really what you should be requiring if you want to trade every day, because you need that extra filter and price. But yeah, this is what I took this day to anyone. Does that make sense to everyone? It's really just all assets, like every single one of them. They all both expanded on Monday, Tuesday. So even on indices, I was looking to short lower, but I'll show you why I didn't do that. If I go to YM here, this is exactly what you want to see. So remember, guys, when SMT breaks, so at one point, if I go to the hourly chart, this was an SMT. So this high got hit at 1500 the previous day, but if you go on NQ, this high got hit a long time ago. So when it breaks, when the lagging asset hits this high, this is when we can reverse or retrace. So I'm already anticipating that YM could have this retracement or reversal. So when you have SMT with the previous high like this, that's even better, right? And you get two-stage SMT, it looks like this, essentially. And this fractal, like just this SMT in general right here, you have a strength switch here. But here's why I didn't trade it. So I'm waiting for 930, basically. And I want to target like these lows. There's really nothing beyond these lows, honestly. It's just like EQ of a range. So I'm not really too... I don't really like targeting that. I like to get it, you guys know me, I like to get it before we even take out external draws. So when I'm seeing this, it's not so interesting to me. And here's the strength switch, by the way. So you see this 945 high gets taken out over here, but on NQ, the strongest asset, 945 is right here, basically. So you're seeing that's, or what is it, 955? Or 1005, sorry. And this is like 955. So 1005 is like right here, right? So you're seeing a strength switch here. You're seeing that 930 reverses the day. So I've talked about this before as well. So if you want to trade lower and prior to the driver, there is no reversal. In order for you to trade lower this day, to have that sort of retracement, 930 has to reverse price. That's your invalidation. If 930 does not reverse price, then why would we anticipate like 12 p.m. to reverse? Now we want the most relevant time of the day to reverse. So that's what you have here. Again, exactly how I teach it, verbatim, my driver video. Here's your CSD and whatnot. You could trade this, but again, I did not. You have open up draws down here potentially. It was just kind of ugly. As you see, it's just very ugly in that kind of continuation lower. And I figured it'd be ugly over here because, again, there's not really much to draw into. So if YM is not really having much to draw into, then the other assets are kind of going to struggle as well. So it's not going to be some like clean expansion lower, really, because the draw liquidity is very far. Typically, when you have a draw liquidity that's in close proximity, this is where price will just shoot straight to the highs or whatnot. But we didn't really have that. So yeah, I kind of just avoided this day. I thought CL and gold were a little bit better, and it was off that same logic of just trading back within the range. So I did go over gold, right? No, I didn't trade gold. What did I trade then? I traded CL. Oh, I traded silver. Looks like. We didn't even go over that. Damn. All right, so same thing here. This is Wednesday, right? Yeah, Wednesday. So like I said, all assets on Monday, Tuesday expanded into something relevant. Right, so it's just like Monday's logic, where Friday actually traded into something relevant on silver. So see Friday trading something relevant. So I'm expecting Monday to do something like something bullish, like either open high weekly candle or maybe even a potential reversal. Same thing here. I'm looking at the previous day. The daily candle is opening lower, and at this time, the high of the week is like a consol. It's Monday, which is a consolidation candle. So typically, that's not really an established high of the week, right? So when you manipulate on Tuesday, what can I expect Wednesday to do? Expand, right? Um, and what I'm viewing this as phase of price wise, expansion into slow, consolidation, manipulation, and then distribution back into the current week's high, right? And why am I trading silver? Well, look at the daily close compared to this asset, right? It's obvious that this asset is a lot weaker than this one because this one closed with a larger wick inside of Monday's candle. But you're going to see a form of strength switching here. So first off, what kind of phase of price do we have when we engage with this low? We're seeing expansion, mouth expansion. Obviously, another thing I want to take your attention to is when assets break SMTs. Again. So check this SMT or this low on gold got taken out on Monday, right? But on Monday, like Asia session. But this asset over here took this low out at 10 a.m. basically at 9 a.m. So you're seeing when the lagging asset trades into a low. Again, this is where you can potentially reverse. So when you see a reversal signature, well, then that's how you know it's a reversal, right? So boom, expansion with expansion. This is already enough confirmation. Like this is what you want to see inside of a candle 2. You want to see, because it's a reversal. A candle 2 is a reversal. So you want to see a reversal signature, whether that's a CSD or like this expansion with expansion. There's no CSD here. It's very far away. So I'm not going to wait for this CSD because it's too far away. I would miss the move, right? So all I need to see is a bullish daily profile. I want to see the daily open low first, right? That's kind of what we do. Like, yeah, opens high a little bit first. That's fine. But here we create the low. And if this candle is opening low and I want it to be a bullish day, then what I want the low here to be formed by, right? SMT. So that's what you have here. This is strength switch SMT because when I look at gold here, notice how look at the previous day, look at London highs. We traded into it on gold, but not on silver. So right now you have an SMT here. This asset really didn't manipulate it. I don't view this as a manipulation because if there's going to be a manipulation, I want as soon as we trade into this high to reverse like this, but did not do that. More so just consolidated. And then I'm viewing this as a retracement. So if this is going to be a retracement, and what should happen after retracement? It should expand, right? We're already in EQ of this range really around that area. So this is where you'd already be anticipating that reversal. So if price goes from expansion, right, because this is definitely expansion, retracement expansion, what could cap off this retracement? It's always SMT, right? To go from retracement to expansion. So that's what we have here in the form of strength switching because here's the lower low. Now we're creating a higher high to catch up and break that SMT, right? So that's what I'm seeing here. Here's your SMT, right? Which is created within the 6 a.m. candle. So here's 10 a.m. So if 6 a.m. reverses, right? 6 a.m. reverses, then what should 10 a.m. do? It should expand, right? So dropping down. Here's that candle too. Just standard GXT, right? 10 a.m. opening up with a reversal. If I go to the 5-minute here, or the 3-minute, I don't know what I entered on. Do we have a CSD in candle 2? If I pull up this little indie, let me just pull up a little bit more candles here. So yeah, right here. So do we have a CSD within this candle here? Yes. Boom, right here. So all I have to do is wait for an intra-candle chain to say delivery, right? Which the candle opens right here, right? And the CSD is formed above the opening price. So remember when I told you guys about the daily candles, like Asia reversals or maybe Monday low of the week? When price expands with my open, it's going to create a gap, right? Where if this is going to be the low of the candle, this gap has to hold, right? So when you form that CST above it, now you can assume that the low was already put in, right? So we should continue away from this gap if price is going to remain 10.05 as the low of 10 a.m., right? So when you close above here, this is my entry, right? And I'm taking it to the previous day's high, which is right here, right? Which is about 5.9R. So again, extremely clean, always using SMT. Yeah, I mean, it's not much more to say about that one. Pretty standard, pretty A plus in my opinion. With the previous day reversing, the weekly the weekly candles also opening low first. I'm not viewing this candle here. I'm really not viewing this as an open high or an open low on Monday because it's just consolidation. So the first manipulation is what I'm viewing as, that first relevant, move, I guess you could say. So now moving on to Wednesday. What time is it, by the way? Okay, 11. Shit. We'll probably finish this. I definitely want to go over Thursday because it was just super one-sided. So moving on to Thursday. There's a lot to cover on Thursday. Holy moly. Are we good here, guys? Are you recording this one? Yeah, I am recording, hopefully. Yeah, 56 minutes. We're good. I can still keep going, guys. It doesn't really matter. So, Thursday. What kind of phase what did we do the previous day? Let's just analyze that on YM. So, what kind of signature do you guys think this is right here? Right, it's more so like consolidation, right? After expanding to a high, we have that consolidation signature. If I go back to like silver, for example, exactly what we're seeing here, right? You trade into a high after a big expansion range. Look at that small range candle, right? This is a consolidation signature. So when you expand into an external high, you get consolidation. Well, typically that means that you'll expand again, right? Because consolidation is not a reversal signature. And as you see the small range candle again on all assets. This asset over here is not even reversing like at all off the previous high. So I'm definitely thinking continuation this day. And we have 8:30 news here this day, which is absolutely great to see. So you're going to see that if this day is like more retracement or expansion, you're going to see that overnight, again, we expand away from the open. So if we're going to trade continuation, again, you can expect Asia to potentially be low of day. You can trust this when you see this. We have open objectives here. And remember, when we see other assets trade into highs, so I'll kind of play this a little bit forward here, about right here. Yeah, right here. Essentially right here. We know that this asset failed to manipulate this high over here, and we also know that intraday, NQ and ES, the stronger assets, they already traded into this previous high, and they failed to manipulate it. You see this? It's a failure to manipulate on NQ and ES. So what does that mean? That what should YM do? It should continue. It should catch up, right? So if I want to trade this asset, long, what do I need to be trading away from? A key level and a swing point, right? So the key level here is this fair value gap, right? Which is positioned above the daily open. So if this is daily open is going to remain intact, what do we want to see in expansion? Because this is expansion. We want to see shallow retracements because we haven't yet hit our draw liquidity. I want to see, these lows that you're seeing here. These like relevant lows. There's not much beyond this low. The next relevant low is kind of like down here, really. So if we go to 30 minute, here's relevant lows, right? Which is just a fair value gap, right? Which is the relevant lows, but the fair value gap high here. So I want to see the driver. If this is going to be an expansion, what do I want to see the drivers do in expansion? I want them to expand away from the low of the day, right? So here's the low of day. I want the driver expand away from it. But in order for me to, like I said, to trade expansion, I need to be trading from a key level. So I want to see the driver trade into the key level and put in the reversal, right? That's how I teach it verbatim in my video, right? So here, you're seeing that happen exactly, right? You're seeing that 8:30 trades into the key level. So here's the driver, by the way, this 8 o'clock candle. So if 8:30 puts in the low of this retracement and then reverses, we're playing out the driver, right? And this confirms the low of the 6 a.m. candle. Here's the 6 a.m. open. So if the 6 a.m. low is put in, at 8:30, what should 9:30 do? It should continue expansion, right? And I've already told you guys this before. Um, when you have open draws and you put in a reversal, right, and you haven't really yet expanded away from that reversal, the driver should be a one-sided narrative, right? And you're gonna see strength switching here. Why? We know that YM is weaker. We know that's because this lower high here, or whatever you want to call it. But you're seeing that the weaker asset is actually closing above these candles before ES and NQ. So that's a form of strength switching, right? So I got to the charts around 9-ish something, and I saw us hovering around this area. Probably I got in around like 9:15 or something, and I saw this. It was before this retracement. So I wanted to get in before the driver. Where should the driver reverse from? This opposing candle. This is more like a positional entry because if I pull up the indicators here, I'm entering within candle 3, but I'm not letting the candle form its wick, right? Because again, around these drivers, they can just expand, right? They're gonna leave. They might not give you that retest or whatnot. Not even give you a chance to even market execute because it's gonna be so high in the range. So again, I have so much narrative here, right? I have the failure to manipulate this high on NQ and ES. I have strength switching. I have 8:30 trading away from the low of day. So I have so many things on my side here that as long as I have a bulky opposing candle to put my stop loss on, that's all that matters. So you're even going to see this 1 hour candle also open low first. That's how bullish candles form. So 9:30, you guys saw me enter right at before 9:30. And yeah, you can even enter like, let's say you got to charge right here, just mark execute here, man. Like, just mark execute it. Put your stop loss somewhere relevant so you can catch the expansion. That's kind of what I did. Essentially, it's just the same thing as the positional entry. And yeah, we just ripped higher with 1 5-minute candle, so that was pretty sick. But yeah, that was my entry on Thursday. I think this is absolutely A+ in my opinion. And yeah, even on the weakest asset, guys, the weakest asset, we're having expansion without expansion. That is a reversal signature. So that was just like really nice to see. So that was Thursday for me. Now let's go to gold here, because more of the same thing. What did the previous day do? What did the previous couple days do? Kind of looking back at the previous couple days. Monday's open is here. So this weekly candle is already leaning a bearish candle. It's already has that large opposing run. So just like a daily candle, just like anything, if Monday is going to be the high of the week, and we expand away from the opening price, that's going to create key levels, right? For maybe like later on in the week, that we could use these key levels to continue the expansion. So what you're seeing is early on in the week we expanded. Wednesday kind of consolidated or retraced, right? And then Wednesday or Thursday, if it's going to continue that expansion lower, where should it continue that expansion lower from? The key level that was created from Monday's close and Tuesday's close or Wednesday's close, right? Which creates a gap, right? So this is the same logic as an Asia high and low of the day. We just did it on YM, but fractally. Now we're doing it on the weekly chart. This happens a lot when either like Monday and Wednesday create a gap like this, where all 3 days expand lower like this, or maybe it can look like this as well, where maybe how can I draw this without messing this up? Maybe Friday expands, Monday expands, and Tuesday expands, and then Wednesday trades into this gap, right? Where maybe Monday's high is like right here. But if we're going, so this is the worst drawing of all time. But let me try to draw this, man. Let's say this is Friday. Maybe this is something we can go over with profiling, because I think I'm very, very, very good at profiling in general with weekly, daily, both. There's the same thing, really. So let's say Monday, we have something like this, expansion. Actually, let me just do this, Let me copy and paste this real quick. All right, we'll do Monday here. Monday. Copy and paste that as well. Tuesday. Like this. Let's say it closes more like this or some shit. So if we're going to continue lower, and this is the high of the week, for example, it's Monday, well then whatever key level is positioned below the opening price should support price in continuation. So see how this fair value gap is below the opening price? So I expect Wednesday, if we're going to continue lower throughout the week, to find support here, right? If that makes sense. But you're seeing this same thing, but it's a bit different where Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday create the gap, and then Thursday is continuing lower. So if we're going to continue lower here, why do I think we're going to continue lower? Phase the price. One of the fundamental concepts that you need to be learning, right? Because look right here, again, what is this? Consolidation candle, very small range candle. This is not a reversal signature, right? I want to see expansion away from this. Also, the weekly, in general, just supports a bearish candle. We've already expanded very far from the open. So trading back all the way up here doesn't support expansion, really. So I want to see price reverse from this gap here. What do I want to see at this gap as well? Potential SMT. So when I go to Euro, if you guys can hear backing, I'm sorry. If I go to Euro, boom, bam, SMT, right? And that's pretty clean, right? Alright, sorry. So we have SMT with a gap. Again, we love to see that. When I drop lower, if I want to trade a bearish candle, guys, how do I want the candle to form? This is just basic stuff. I want it to ideally open high first. So see how it's mainly opening high first? The low of the day here is Asia session. That's perfect, right? And you're going to see a little bit of strength switching here because silver is obviously stronger here, right? You see that? It's stronger here. But you're seeing the, whoops, hold on. Or at least, Euro is the weaker pair. And look how spaced out the SMT is, by the way. So spaced out SMT is high probability SMT. Spaced out SMT. And look how this asset has no fair value gaps in this little price range here. But if I go to the strongest asset, it has a fair value gap here. So what is that? That is a form of strength switching, right? So you're seeing a form of strength switching here as well. There is two-stage SMT as well. I will show you that briefly real quick. So this is not something I really teach you guys, but here you have a higher high with this candle. Over here you have a lower low, right? So that's a strength switch there. So that was added confirmation, but this is the same logic, right? If this is going to be the reversal, then whatever key level is printed after this reversal should support price lower. So for example, this fair value gap, we already traded into it and traded away, which when that happens, that creates a high. So if we're not going to find support at this opposing candle, for example, if we're not going to do this, then we need to manipulate this high because this is a relevant high, right? And this is what we have SMT with. We have SMT here. And you're going to see that we trade into this high before the driver. So right before the driver, we trade into this high. So a lot of people are asking me like, why didn't you wait for the C2 closure? That is fucking irrelevant. It's so irrelevant. It's like very extremely irrelevant. Why is it irrelevant? Well, look at this candle's open. It's very far away from the opening price. So it's an expansion candle. So typically like this, these candles will not actually create a C2. The most relevant thing, guys, is the candle, like the previous candle, is hitting a key level, or like you're trading away from a key level. That's what's actually relevant. And then we're just trading expansion candles away from it. I need to see a reversal signature. That's it. So you're going to see that we hit this high here literally at the end of the candle. It doesn't have enough time to create a C2, right? So what I want to see, the next candle reverse, right? So you're seeing the driver. If we manipulate prior to the driver, what should the driver do? It should expand away. So when I see that, when I see 830 here expand away, that's my confirmation. It's way more confirmation than a candle close. So if you're confused about that, now you shouldn't be. What is this expansion with expansion? This is the reversal signature that I'm talking about. That's what actually matters more than anything, because even if you have a C2 closure and it looks like consolidation, that's not a reversal, right? So the signature of reversal is way more important, and I'm pairing with the driver. So this is extremely, extremely one-sided, where I can just enter this trade here. I don't put my stop loss here, by the way. I'll put it a little bit lower. put like around here or something, right? It shouldn't be coming way up here. And look at all these lows available, guys. Like, it's just, this is so clean. This day on all assets were just so clean. Look at all these lows, man. Very, very nice. And yeah, I took it to the previous day's low here. Because again, you're going to see that we have this spaced out SMT with, so this is about 4 are there. And if I go to Euro, we're trading into this low, trading this divergence. And you guys will learn, if I ever go over like profiling, so we already went over a lot of profiling and stuff already, but you're going to see that SMTs, and when you trade into highs and lows, they generally cap off the daily range, especially when that range is already large. So this Euro daily range is huge. It's absolutely huge. So if Euro is not going to continue lower, then this asset won't continue lower. The stronger one, obviously, right? So this is when you can anticipate this SMT to cap off this daily range. So that was a perfect TP, really. You guys will learn about this probably soon. I'll go over that soon. So that was this trade. Again, YM trading or pairing it with the driver, pairing gold with the driver. Now we're going to go to oil. Same logic, guys. If Monday, Tuesday have a huge range lower, typically I do not want to trade in that same direction. I want to trade back in the weekly range. In order for you to trade a reversal candle, you need to hit a key level to even anticipate a reversal. So what is that key level? When I go to the daily chart, there's too much noise here. There's too many little lows. Like, it's just very ugly. I can clear that up going up one time frame to the weekly time frame. All right, cool. We are in a key level. It's a very large key level. So what do? You just require an SMT. That's all you require. And that SMT is your reversal. So the previous day puts in this SMT. You're seeing RB is the one that swept this low. Sorry, RB over here. It's the one that swept this low. So if Wednesday reversed, then what should Thursday do, right? It should trade back into the range. Where can we trade to? The fair value gap right here. In what asset am I going to choose here? So I'm obviously not going to choose RB because it's the weakest. We can gauge strength. So let's check out CL's closure here. Okay. What about HO here? Right. We can kind of see this close on Tuesday. So look at this wick on Tuesday. You see how it's a large wick, but I go to CL over here. Very, very small wick, right? So I can gauge strength via HO as the strongest asset here. And that's what I picked. You're going to even see intraday, it's the strongest asset. So playing this forward here, we have a 2-stage SMT. And again, look at this spaced out SMT. Look how far this SMT is away from RB. So I will say, when there's a 2-stage SMT, I have not taught you this version of 2-stage SMT, but I will maybe in another like a SMT stream or something, because we will do that eventually. But yeah, essentially I'm targeting this high here. And you always want to trade the asset that is creating basically a double failure swing, the way you want to, I guess, say it. A double failure swing. This is showing extreme strength on the asset that is creating a double SMT, and an extreme weakness on the asset that is creating double lower lows. So you're always going to trade the asset that's creating a double failure swing, right? And yeah, it's generally pretty high probability. But this profile, if I want to be bullish, how do I want it to form? I want it to open low first, right? So let's draw out that daily open, which is right here. You see it kind of opens high first, but do I really care about this? Not really, because it's internal to an already existing consolidation range. See how it's internal to this? So again, this is in my candle profile video on YouTube. I don't care about this open high, just because it didn't hit anything relevant. Anything internal to this is not relevant. So the external range is what's relevant, right? So we actually create an SMT with this external range low, and RB takes out the very low, which is the previous day's low. And notice, look at the strength switching. So we obviously have CL not taking out the previous day's low, and then we have RB taking out the previous day's low. But check this out. You're seeing that RB, the weaker asset, is putting in a CSD here. See that? Where CL is not putting a CSD. But it's still reversing. You see this? It's still reversing, which is good. See, it's still reversing. So that is a form of strength switching, which validates this SMT. What we're seeing is all assets are expanding away from the SMT. This is exactly what we want to see. But when you go to HO, this is the strongest asset because we're closing above these opposing candles and we're putting in the SMT at the previous day's low. So I'm going to choose this asset. So I mentioned this before a couple times. If this is going to be a low day or when you put a true reversal in, all assets expand away. When they create a gap in price, this is extremely high probability to support price for continuation to your open draws and liquidity. So where's my draw on liquidity? It's this current day's high. This draw on liquidity here. Right? So here's my draw on liquidity, which is the Tuesday's high, which is the fair value gap low. So what I want to see price do, I want to see price trade into this gap and put a reversal in. Right? So exactly what you're doing, exactly what you're seeing here. This is a form of strength switching as well because we have CL putting a lower low in right here. And we know that the other assets already traded into its high. But now you're seeing that CL is putting a higher high here, right? Where these other assets are putting a lower low in here. So that's a form of strike switching, which validates this key level, this gap. So you're seeing that we're trading the same thing on all assets, right? Same logic applies. So again, all I care about, guys, is trading a swing point from a key level, right? I can already trade this candle 2 here because candle 1 hit this gap and reversing off the previous candle's low with a very, very small wick. If I go to the daily candle, we have an expansion candle. If I go to the 4-hour candle, we have an expansion candle. Now I'm just trading the hourly expansion candle. This is just realigning itself bullish. So remember what I taught you guys? If you have it's really like the low of a candle formed early on in the candle. If it's formed early on in the candle, so we can fractalize this. I showed you guys this for a Monday high of the week, Asia high of the day. Now this is the 4-hour low created extremely early on the candle. When it expands away from the opening price, that's creating a gap. So this gap right here, if this is going to be the low of the candle, should hold. Right? So that's exactly what we're seeing. It's already aligned bullish at this point. Very small wick. Actually has no wick. It's probably just some, if I go into like another asset, it's probably a wick there or something. Even if there isn't, that's fine. Yeah, there's no wick. What about other assets? Yeah, there's a wick on other assets, so it's fine. So you're seeing that we have a small wick, obviously, which supports expansion. So this bearish candle is just a retracement. And when you see this next candle open up, now it's realigning itself with expansion, right? So all I care about is this SMT forming the low of this candle 2 from a key level. So I can trade this. It's also strength switching as well. I have open objectives, so I don't need to wait for much more. This is what I enter on right here. Boom. I don't even wait for retests. This is small up stop loss for me. Right, 4.4 hour, and that's my trade. Extremely high probable day. Like if you want to study, Thursday is the day to study because every single market was clean as fuck. Like every single one. And yeah, that was just a beautiful day. I might wrap it up here, guys, because we are at like hour 20. Friday, I took some trades. I don't even remember what I took. I think I took indices, really. That's pretty much it, yeah. Indices. Oh, I took a loss, too. So I took 2 wins on NQ, and I took a loss on CL. Which, did I record recaps for that? No. I might just record a recap for you guys on those markets via video. But yeah, guys, I will the vacuum, special guest vacuum. But yeah, guys, I will leave y'all with that. I'm just gonna end this recording now.